Da-dun, da-dun, dun 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 da-da-da! Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood, where we have gone 20 episodes shark-free.
Jeez, man, you're gonna give me
But
a fucking heart attack.
that streak ends today because we're gonna be talking about Jaws. And joining with me are my two co-hosts. Please introduce
I'm
yourself.
not shark bait. They call me Will Smith, the Shark Slayer.
And
this
the
is-
other co-host.
Nemo.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So I'm Red. I'm Red, or Drum Arts, as I'm sometimes called, and
Before we get into Jaws, let's get into some entertainment news. Just briefly, though.
The other
First
guy-
and foremost, wait.
the other guy's name is Lugia.
It's
He
okay, I'm
never
already
said his real
dead.
name. Yeah, the other host's
Anyway.
name is Lugia, in case you didn't know.
Anyway, yes. All right. First and foremost, the Olympics began last week.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. You guys hear about the sex ban?
No?
No,
The
I was.
Olympians, Japan has been putting in a bunch of like restrictions to prevent the Olympians from having
Oh wait,
sex.
yes, yeah, I have heard about that, but
Yeah.
And this
I've
is
been too,
now suddenly a thing?
sorry, I was
Yeah.
too focused on the swimming, on watching
Yeah.
the swimming.
Yeah, some people are complaining because some of the cameramen are being incredibly inappropriate around the women. Oh, also, a lot of people notice that a lot of these Olympians are on Tinder. Some people in Japan are like, "Hey, yo, the Olympians are on my Tinder account."
This is historic, though, as this is the first Olympic Games that was postponed rather than canceled. It was supposed to happen last year, but obviously because of the pandemic, that didn't happen.
Yes.
Still
which
called
also
still
means-
called Tokyo 2020, though.
Yes.
For branding purposes.
Which also means that technically, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2020 takes place in an alternate timeline where COVID didn't hit.
You guys watch the Olympics at all?
No, I have not.
No, I don't even know where to watch it.
We watch it on NBC, but I'm sure you can watch it literally any station.
Cool. Apparently, the opening ceremony played a bunch of video game music. A lot of my,
Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't seen the
friends-
opening ceremony because I was at work, but I'm aware.
What did they play? Don't say Megalovania.
They
No,
played
music-
stuff from Sonic, Mario, and Final Fantasy, from what I know.
I'm not surprised about the first two.
Also, Nier Automata. Mostly Japanese heavy series. Monster Hunter, of course.
That makes
Dragon
sense
Quest.
because it is in Japan this year.
Yeah.
Like, I think the opening or closing of the London Olympics had a bunch of like fictional icons from London.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mary Poppins was there, from what I remember.
Yeah, that's how every time these countries happen, there'll be like some significant pop culture that
Yeah.
came from them. So
Yeah, like they have pop culture icons.
You know
yeah,
what
so
this
if it
means,
happened
right?
in America, you bet they'll probably have like the Indiana Jones theme or like something from Star Wars.
Well, I mean,
pop up.
the 2028 Olympics will be in LA, so we'll see what
Yeah,
happens
so-
then.
Guys, you know what this
Definitely,
means,
there's a
though,
ton of
right?
Hollywood.
What does
what?
it mean?
Gamers are no longer going to be an oppressed culture.
Anyway, I think that's enough about the Olympics. What else we got?
Netflix just today announced a live-action Pokemon series they're working on.
Really?
Yeah, so not looking forward to that. Netflix has a very poor track record when it comes to live-action adaptations.
Is that where the Netflix adaptation meme came from?
Yes, almost all of their adaptations are bad. Most infamous is Death Note and like FMA, but like just loads of bad ones.
Do we know anything about it, though?
No, they just announced that they're making a live-action Pokemon series.
Okay.
Speaking of which, they announced a new Dragon Ball movie, and Piccolo's getting a house. Any of you
What?
guys read Dragon Ball? Or watch
Read the
Dragon Ball?
manga?
I've-
No,
I've-
I've seen
I've seen a few. Yeah, I've seen a few episodes.
I've seen up to the Cell Saga. Or at least for Z,
I'd-
anyway, because I've never seen the original Dragon Ball.
I'd recommend the entirety of the original series at least. It holds up. Yeah, let's see what else. M. Night Shyamalan's new movie Old came out. It's getting pretty positive reception. For a horror movie. Horror movies tend to get like negative reception, like usually, but this one doing better than what most horror movies get.
And directed
Um,
by Shyamalan as well, so that's good to hear.
Shyamalan's actually a pretty talented director. It was always his scripts that were the weakest part, and even then he made, they were always at least interesting. Kanye's new album was supposed to come out, but it didn't come out. People are very confused about what's going on there.
Yeah, I remember like a year ago, like I read something that he had a new album, but it was delayed and it never came out. I guess this is that.
No, I think that's a different one.
No.
Yeah,
It might be a
Kanye.
different artist. I don't know.
No, Kanye has a ton of albums that just never released or just got postponed. I think he's only ever released like one album on time, and that album still got like a revamped version that like changed it significantly. Even his debut was delayed heavily. Although he gets an
Actually,
excuse there because he was like in the hospital when he started making that one. So
before we actually get into the movie, I have one more piece of news that I just read about today that I think you guys might find interesting. Apparently, according to a recent interview with Takashi Tezuka, he says that he feels that they announced the 2022 Sonic game a bit too early.
it's funny as I was actually just about to mention that. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
to be fair, they only showed a trailer, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't be too mad because I mean I'm a Metroid fan, so
Well, we don't really know
Metroid
what the
Prime
game's going to be
4,
about anyway.
never.
No, he
Yeah.
just
And when
he
the
said he's
fuck was the last time a Sonic game was delayed for polish?
Team Sonic Racing back in 2019.
Oh shit.
That was delayed.
Oh, it was supposed to come out in 2018, but they
Oh,
pushed
how
it
about
back.
that? Okay, what about like a mainline entry?
But I don't count Fire and Ice because that's Sonic Boom.
Yeah, that's um
'Cause let's see. I know Forces wasn't was rushed. Generations
no,
was rushed.
Mania was slightly delayed. It was supposed to come out in spring of 2017. It came out in summer.
Yeah. Okay.
That's like
So
the only one I can think of that was
yeah,
mainstream anyway.
I don't think any of the 3D games ever really got delayed. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Sonic Unleashed is like the only Sonic game. Sonic Unleashed and Colors, those feel complete, but I don't know if they were delayed or not. All right. Any more news?
Not really.
Kyle,
Let's
got anything?
That's about it.
Let's jump into the shark infested Shark Fest.
All right. So this is our second movie from the 70s, and interestingly enough, our first Spielberg movie, which is surprised we haven't talked about him before, considering he is the most famous director.
Yeah. So.
Like, just period.
Spielberg is a man who needs no introduction, and Jaws is a movie that really needs no introduction. I mean, everybody knows what it's about. Everybody knows it's Spielberg. Everybody knows the main theme. And I'm pretty sure most are aware of, like, its crazy production history.
Yeah. But
Like,
it's still pretty interesting to talk about. So,
yeah,
So we're going to talk about it anyway.
I'll give a brief rundown of it. Basically, this is adapted from a book by Peter Benchley, I believe is his name.
yeah.
It's only loosely based, though, from what I've read. It's only the only similarities are there's a shark and the characters' names are the same.
Apparently, Spielberg said he wanted to keep the last act, but
yeah,
the
he wanted to keep
two-thirds of the book was completely rewritten.
He got rid of all the side plots and just focused it on the shark hunting.
Yeah.
And apparently the script was rewritten several times. And actually, here's an interesting fact I learned is that originally the director of the film was not Steven Spielberg. It was a guy named, I wrote it down here, Dick Richards, who previously directed like...
His name is Richard Richards.
Anyway, sure. He previously, his credits beforehand were just like some television stuff. But apparently he was fired from production because he kept referring to the shark as a whale, and it got on the production team's nerves.
Huh.
So they kicked him out and replaced him with Spielberg. I think that's funny.
Yeah. Let's see.
This film was also the first movie to be shot directly on the ocean. Like previously they would just do it in a studio, but now this is directly on top of the ocean.
Yeah.
And that led to a whole bunch of problems. Famously, the animatronic shark would not operate properly, and the film constantly went over budget, and filming went over schedule.
Yes, but I bet the studio ultimately didn't mind, because when the movie finally did release, it became the highest grossing film of all time, which is incredibly impressive considering it was only Spielberg's second movie.
And it also led to a widespread decrease in visitors at beaches for that summer.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Everybody was too afraid. Beach attendance was at a significant low that summer.
Yeah.
Man, people took movies in the 70s too fucking seriously.
Yeah, Jaws is arguably one of the most important movies in film history because
I would absolutely agree.
Yeah,
it
same
is
here.
basically considered to be the first blockbuster ever.
It established summer as the blockbuster season, because beforehand movies released in the winter. No, Jaws came out in June, made the big bucks, became a huge phenomenon, and studios were like, "Hey, we should do that."
Movie is still the seventh highest grossing movie of all time if you take into account inflation.
Yeah.
It had a massive advertising campaign, which I
Mhm.
guess you could definitely contribute to it, and it got some Oscar success too. It won the Oscar for best sound, best editing, and best score, and it was nominated for best picture. Although at the time it was custom for the highest grossing film to automatically get a nomination. That didn't change until I think Grease. Once Grease came out, they're like, all right, we're not
Grease
going
was
to
the highest
nominate.
grossing film of all time.
I mean, like of the year. I meant the highest grossing film of the year.
Oh, the year in general. Oh,
Yeah.
It doesn't usually happen anymore, though.
Yeah, like I said, that tradition stopped with Grease.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
the Academy didn't want to nominate Grease for Best Picture.
We want to stay the hell away from that.
Yeah, John Travolta. Ugh.
Anyway, Jaws became a huge phenomenon and spawned many ripoffs and three
Yeah.
sequels, none of which involved Spielberg. But I do know that each one is more nonsensical than the last.
Yeah, so basically typical horror movie fare.
Ignore the sequels, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically any shark movie or horror movie that takes place on the ocean, it owes a good deal of its existence to Jaws.
Yep.
Like without Jaws, we would live in a very different world.
It's not
movies.
the first horror movie, but it's one of the more influential ones.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some people don't actually consider this a horror movie, but yeah.
So why don't we just jump right into this? And is it even worth going over a plot synopsis?
All right, here's a plot synopsis. I can say in like 2 seconds. Shark kills someone. Police get involved. Then some shit happens, and then at the end they go and kill the shark.
There's a hungry shark on 4th of July weekend, and you can pretty much guess what happens from there.
Yeah.
Actually,
character-driven movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Speaking of plot synopsis, I remember in middle school, one of my friends told me a joke. It was if you watch Jaws in reverse, it's about a shark that throws up so many people that they have to open a beach.
I think that might have been me.
I love
that might have been me, man.
No, it was somebody else.
It was okay.
I remember you told me that before.
All right. So why don't you guys start with your thoughts, Lugia?
I actually want to hear what Patrick has to say about this because this is his first viewing after all.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. My parents for the longest time would not let me watch Jaws because they were terrified that I would never ever step foot in the water again.
Yeah, well.
So they did.
Not even in the kiddie pool.
Have no choice.
Though they did let me go on the ride at Universal, back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore, is it?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But also another little anecdote is that a long time ago, well, not that long ago, but a few years ago, we were at a book fair, and I picked up the novelization Jaws that the movie's based on, and I read through like the first 3 pages, and then my mom snatched it out of my hands and told me no. So yeah,
Words are dangerous.
My parents made sure that I did not watch this movie for the longest time, but I decided it's finally time I watched Jaws. Considering the legacy it's left and the influence it's had, I want to see this shark movie for myself. And
you're an adult now.
Yeah. I think the best word I can use to describe Jaws is memorable. This movie is filled with like memorable characters, memorable dialogue, memorable performances, memorable scenes.
Memorable
It's just
shots.
Oh yeah, this is just a very memorable movie.
So I guess what did you think of the characters?
I thought we were going over what we all thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I was just
Yeah, so I gave my brief thoughts.
Oh, like the general thing. Okay.
Yeah, the general thoughts.
All right, Lugia, what are your thoughts on?
I saw this movie a few years back. I remember catching it on TV. I want to say like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I do remember liking it. I wasn't able to grasp it, like how important it was to the film industry and whatnot. But after going in with a fresh mindset about all that, I can definitely say this is probably one of the most perfect movies to ever exist. I mean, there's still some problems, namely because it's aged. You can kind of tell, especially in the audio department, like that hasn't aged particularly well, but aside from that, the cinematography, like you guys said, I could gush about like the second half of the movie. Like, good lord, a lot of
Yeah.
that I cannot get enough of.
Pretty similar. Like, I'm not gonna dock any points for technical limitations because, I mean, that can't be helped. This is the best it
Yeah.
could possibly have been in 1975, and quite frankly, I kind of think it's pretty much the best it can be now. It's basically a perfect movie, and I don't think this is the most perfect the movie could have possibly been. And I don't think there's really any way to improve it.
Yeah.
I saw it for the first time actually only last year, September 23rd, 2020 is when I saw it. A year later, and I like it even more.
Actually, there
Yeah.
is one complaint that I have with the movie, and it's the very beginning of the film. I have no idea why. I think that's the most corny part of the entire movie.
No, it didn't bother me because it just felt like a classic slasher movie move. And I was like, ah, to me, maybe it's because I've seen so many slashers after, but it was almost like retrospective. It was like, oh, it's kind of like making the shark like Michael Myers, even though I'm pretty sure Michael Myers was invented after this.
I think we should just get our criticisms out of the way, because there's really not a whole lot. I do have two criticisms though. One is, like Lugia said, the audio definitely could use a bit of work in some scenes. Like I know this movie won an Oscar for its sound, but I feel in some scenes, especially during like crowd scenes, it is difficult to hear what like the characters at the forefront are saying because like the background audio is like so loud with the crowds. Like you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Going
Um,
back to the intro, I noticed that the most there, and like, what the hell
Yeah.
happened with the sound balancing? This isn't how I remember the
Yeah.
movie, but it does pick up from there.
Yeah. Like it's not a huge problem, but it is pretty noticeable in some scenes.
I feel like the sound design is really on point for like the action.
My second criticism, though, and you guys might think this is weird. I feel like the third act shark hunt goes on just a little too long.
I think that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I understand why they wanted to make it long because that's what it was all building up to.
Yeah, I get that. That's what the movie's building up to, but a lot of it is like waiting around and
Yeah, it's called building tension, man. Come on.
yeah, I know, but
Building
classic, like,
tension, they're
Hitchcock
building
move.
character too.
Yeah,
I know,
just-
and I do really like that scene where they're all sitting down and just talking.
yeah.
But like when the
that's-
shark when the
that's
shark does
interesting.
appear, hey, there's the shark. Let's put the tracker on him. Andy's gone. Shark tracker. Andy's gone. Shark tracker gone. I don't know. I feel like the ending could have been like 25 minutes shorter. But other than that,
25 I think is a bit steep. Like maybe 10 minutes shorter, not
I
25.
don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But those are
Um,
the only two big problems that I have. Well, not even problems, more
You know,
nitpicks. But
it's interesting. We mentioned the tension because basically before blockbuster movies were like Hitchcock style thrillers were like the big thing, and this kind of feels like a perfect transition point from Hitchcock to eventually what would become the template for blockbusters, Star Wars. Like this kind of feels like the nice little in between because it's still very clearly a thriller, but it's got like all the bombastic aspects that other stuff has.
yeah, what this movie really nails is the feeling of suspense.
Yes.
Like I love that scene in the beginning where Brody's on the beach and he's just waiting for something to happen. Like you don't know, is it going to be the dog that fetches the stick? Is it going to be the lady on the life raft? Is it going to be the kid running in the water?
Yeah.
I love that scene.
It's kind of a
Yeah,
bold
and
move to kill a kid in a film, especially for the time.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh, uh, that scene you were just talking about, I really like how it finally got punctuated with that iconic dolly zoom shot. You know the one I'm talking about where he
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that really without saying a word you know exactly. So what did you think of the characters and performances?
I adore Robert Shaw as Quint. He's by far my favorite character in the film, just for his performance alone.
Yeah, I also liked I think Roy Schneider did a great job. I really liked him.
Actually, I really liked Hooper. So we all had our favorite characters.
Yeah. Roy Schneider's a talented guy. I've seen some other movies and he plays like a completely different character in each one. It's crazy. Apparently Spielberg, when casting for this, he agreed to use known names, but he didn't want it to be any of the superstars because he felt that might detract. But I feel like it's kind of like a double-edged sword because Roy Schneider kind of became like a much bigger actor later down the line. So yeah, actors did a good job. Just thought it was interesting. Spielberg didn't want to hire any big name actors. He wanted to just keep it as people that people know and but aren't super huge, and ultimately it paid off. All these like people know Roy Schneider and Richard Dreyfuss, but they're not like De Niro level superstars, Yeah, so for some people, like these might be the only movies I've ever seen them in. So I was looking at some of the influences, and I feel this movie reminds me a lot of like. Have you ever read the book The Old Man and the Sea or Moby Dick?
The latter,
No.
yes.
Okay, yeah. I felt like this movie kind of felt like an in between of that, but like put in a more modern context. So what do you think about that? I don't know, Lugia. Which one did you read?
Moby Dick.
Yeah.
I don't remember much about it. I just remember reading it.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting that you like Quint's character the most because I feel like he is like clearly draws a bit from Ahab
It's more
from
that I
Moby Dick.
like him on a personal level. Like I grew up with a couple fishermen in my family, and he also reminds me of one of my late uncles, just from his personality.
Speaking of Quint, that introduction where he has the nails on the chalkboard, that's like one of the most iconic scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
Being
scene.
parodied so much.
Yeah, that scene. I think the second most iconic scene is I mean, besides the classic da da like stuff, um,
Yeah.
Yes, the
is the
most famous two notes in history.
is when he's like tossing bait into the water and the shark just comes out like that. That legit
Oh
actually like
yeah, that.
followed
And he
me a bit.
says
I
you're
was
gonna
like,
need a
whoa,
bigger boat.
yeah,
Yeah.
that scene was great.
Speaking of that line, there's a lot of really iconic lines in this movie. I'd say even more than Pulp Fiction.
Actually, one of my favorite lines is when the group of fishermen catch the wrong shark and they're trying to decipher what it is. It's like, what kind of shark is it? It's a tiger shark. A what?
Yeah,
I don't know why the way he says that line has always cracked me up. How could we forget, like, smile, you
let's see.
son of a.
Yeah, let's see what else. I noticed the politician commentary just since it came out in '75. I'm thinking, okay, so this is definitely like some post Watergate criticism, right? With the whole politician just completely like, well, you know how the mayor acted, just
Oh
completely
yeah.
in kind of
Dude, he was.
self
I
interest.
did
I have
not
to ask though.
understand his line of logic. Like, we have an expert, a shark expert, who can provide evidence that the shark is still out there, and the fact that he doesn't give
Money.
you a tooth because he lost it, you're like, oh, then it's fine. Then there's no shark. Fuck this
And,
guy.
and
Yeah.
he's concerned that people aren't getting in the water, and like on a level I get it, but at the same time, I mean they're paying money to get on the beach, and isn't that what matters?
You can still run
As
a
long as they're
beach
making
just
money.
fine without having
Yeah.
people be in the
Yeah,
water. Just
exactly.
restrict access
Yeah,
to the water.
it's not that hard.
And even then, if a shark attack did happen, don't you want to wait about like a week or so before
But it's
opening
Fourth
up
of
the
July
water again?
weekend. It's Fourth of July weekend. They gotta operate on Fourth of July weekend.
Apparently, this was in. They did a scientific study on this and The Exorcist because to like they use those two movies to like study like stress in uh viewers of movies and shit. That's interesting. Apparently, this movie was so suspenseful that scientists started using it to judge stress.
Speaking of stress, another scene that another one of my favorite scenes is when Hooper is looking over the remains of the first victim, and you could tell he's trying so hard not to freak out.
Yeah.
Like he's telling,
Oh,
Get me a glass of water, and no smoking in here either.
that one scene with like the mayor, he was like, he was like, we got to cut him open. It was like, what if like the little kid comes out of his belly? Like, it was like,
Now, fellas, this is not the time or place to perform some kind of half-assed autopsy on a fish.
Also,
yeah,
when they find the sunken boat and just the corpse of one of the fishermen just pops
Oh
out.
yeah, the head. That made me jump.
one of the lesser known freaky parts about this movie is that after it ended, you got like that sigh of relief. But to me, it was always like a sigh of relief followed by dread because you realize, wait, how are they gonna get back to shore? I was like, because the boat is gone. Did we say
You see them
spoilers?
swimming to the shore.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
besides,
but
they
like,
got rid of the shark.
but
This isn't like the
it
thing where there's like implications.
I mean, there are
I guess.
sequels, but I
See,
mean, that
maybe it's
doesn't
because like
matter.
I actually know about like if you're that far and you don't have a boat, there's very slim chance that you're gonna make it.
Well, I mean, they had like a piece of like a board. They had
No,
a
I mean
board.
like
They,
the currents and stuff, they'll
I know.
likely just get pushed all the way back. You know,
Well,
you go to
I don't
beaches,
know.
like they tell you not to go too far without a boat, otherwise you're stuck.
Also, speaking of which, you guys noticed the shooting star
No?
in the movie? There's a shooting star.
When?
It's near the end of the movie. I forget exactly. I think it's like during like one of the most famous quotes. Here I'll look it up.
I might be
It
confusing
was
this with something else, but didn't it move at like 1 frame every 2 seconds or something?
not to my knowledge.
I thought the shark looked pretty realistic for the most part, although there was one or two scenes where I could tell the jaw was mechanical.
I actually think it was. I actually think it actually made it pretty more effective that the shark. You don't actually see the shark until like an hour in. Like they suggest its appearance. I think that actually helps it because I mean, what's scarier, what you can see or what you can't see?
That's horror.
That was mostly shot on Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. I've actually visited there.
I've been there once.
Yeah, once also, only once. I got a tick there.
Okay, I found an image of when the shooting star is.
Okay, I can kind of see it. Man, I definitely would not have
I
noticed
can't
that.
pull this up, otherwise it'll get in the way of the screen capture.
Yeah, but it's around the end of the. I think it's like the hour 40-minute mark. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
it's where they're on the boat, and when they're it's after the scene they're where they're talking, where Quint is telling his story,
Yep.
and then they go outside, and Schneider is getting something ready. I don't know. Maybe like the DVD versions of the film show it better because I watched this on DVD. Speaking of shots, this is minor, but I love the shot where it's the Fourth of July celebration, and Brody's wife Ellen is saying something to him from the other side of the beach. I don't know what she's saying, but I love that shot because one half of the screen is dedicated to her, and the other half is two advertisements for Coca-Cola and a Coke vending machine. And I'm just like, that's product placement at its finest. you know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll crucify you for bringing Pepsi to that beach.
I still think the best example of product placement I've ever seen in a movie is Back to the Future 2. Because it's actually like plot critical, but in a way that it doesn't annoy you.
Oh yeah, the book.
Oh no, I was thinking about the Pepsi scene.
Oh, I was thinking of the whatever.
All right, so I guess overall, final thoughts.
I'd say this is a 9 out of 10. Like you said, this is pretty much as perfect as it could be for the time. And while I do think there is potential for it to be better, that doesn't change the fact that this is still like a really solid film, even like almost 50 years later.
I'm also giving it a 9 out of 10. I don't think there's really any way it can be better, but like, the scores is more of like just how an overall feel, and I don't know. The 9 out of 10 just feels right for now. I definitely put in like my top 5 Spielberg movies. And I've seen a lot of Spielberg's movies. I've seen like 17 of them.
I would have to agree
Yeah.
with you guys. This is just a flat out solid movie, like a flat out great summer movie, a great thriller. You really can't go. It's Jaws. You can't go wrong with it.
Actually, looking at my list of top Spielberg movies, the one movie the one blockbuster of his, well, one of the blockbusters of his that I actually do like more than Jaws is what I also think is basically Spielberg's, I guess, real follow-up to Jaws, Jurassic Park, with the same way of like, now that's also what I'd recommend, if you like Jaws, definitely check out Jurassic Park, because it's, pretty close in like sort of capturing the spirit with the sort of,
The intensity.
build up. Yeah. The build up and how, even like arguing like earlier with,
Ending yourself from
like
creatures with sharp teeth.
yeah, and like I don't know, Hammond. If you make Hammond the mayor, like the kind of similar arguments about whether what you should do with this, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's the closest Spielberg ever got to Jaws again, and I think it's better than Jaws, quite frankly. But yeah. And another thing to check out if you like Jaws is that SpongeBob episode, Clams, which is a direct parody of Jaws. Coral Blue number 15.
And I mean,
It's like,
considering how influential this movie is, this is pretty much a must-watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I find it interesting that that episode of SpongeBob just mentioned is also one of the more influential episodes of the series. It's like iconic, like like I can quote like almost every joke in that movie. It's great. Anyway, who's the recommending for next week? You, Lugia, right?
Lugia.
Yeah, I believe
Lugia.
so.
All right. Patrick, will you be here next week?
Will not. I have.
We can
Okay.
we can wait for him to come back.
No, because
Sure.
don't you
No,
remember
no,
we did,
no. I said you guys can
Yeah.
go without me.
Nah,
we did the schedule
We'll wait.
when he comes back. It's actually going to be his turn to recommend. So I just thought it'd be like
Well,
convenient.
whatever
We will
you guys
wait.
want. Whatever you guys want. So what is your recommendation?
Okay, so after Jaws, I was kind of in a little bit of a horror mood. I mean, again, it's
Oh.
debatable if Jaws is like a legit horror movie, but
It scared a whole bunch of people into not wanting to go back into the water. So I think
Yeah.
that counts for something.
So I chose 3 movies, much like how we did Pulp Fiction. I'm gonna let you guys choose one of 3.
Okay.
So the first movie is The Thing. I already mentioned it a little bit earlier.
Hmm.
One of my favorites.
The second movie is Tremors.
I have not seen that one, but I always wanted to.
And the last movie is Scream.
Oh, I love Scream. Oh, I like Scream even more than The Thing, honestly. Okay. I'm not. My vote is for Tremors though because I've never seen it.
All right, and Patrick?
I'm leaning towards Scream. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I don't mind changing my vote to Scream because I love Scream. That's one of my favorite movies. Like that movie's amazing.
I have
Alright,
seen all
so-
3 of these movies, so I'm not biased towards any of them.
Okay, Scream it is.
All right.
All right, Scream.
You know what? I'm gonna watch Scream 2 because I always wanted to watch Scream 2. We don't have to talk about it though. I'm just.
So
that's gonna be
Halloween
a
is
first
coming
one.
early this year.
Scream is from the director of. He's actually a pretty famous slasher director. He directed The Nightmare Before Elm Street. So.
Nightmare Before Elm Street. What?
Nightmare. Shit. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. Whatever.
Nightmare Before Elm Street. That
Nightmare-
sounds awesome.
Nightmare on
I
Elm
want to
Street.
see that
sorry.
movie. I want to see that movie where Freddy Krueger decides to become Santa Claus.
Yeah. Okay. So director's Wes Craven. What did he say before he blew up
Oh
Jaws
wait,
again?
shit. Before we wrap, shouldn't we mention Sonic and Jaws?
No.
Oh, how are we gonna
No.
shoehorn that in anywhere? I mean, this could be it. You could leave this in.
My name is Jaws the Hedgehog. Do not steal.
Alright, you know what? Fuck it.
All
I'll
this.
mention it.
All. What?
So technically,
Okay.
watching the movie on TV was not my first exposure to Jaws. There was before then, and I think this was like the early 2010s. I could be wrong on this. I think it was like 2012. There was a YouTube channel that I liked watching called Belina Productions, who did a lot of source filmmaker videos, specifically on Sonic the Hedgehog. And one of his most popular ones, I think even to this day, was Sonic in Jaws, and that is when I first learned about that movie.
I first.
So yes, I learned about Jaws through Sonic the Hedgehog. Are you fucking surprised?
Same, but I found out about it because of the Sonic shorts series. You know, from Sonic Paradox. They also
What?
did a Jaws parody.
Which volume was that?
How am I supposed to remember?
Oh yeah,
what
the one where
volume?
he sees the chili dog and his quills are
Yeah.
shark fin. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I'm
How am I
trying
supposed
to remember that.
the volume number? There's like 6 of them.
There's 8 of them technically.
But 6 when we were kids. Those 2 came out recently.
All right, we can argue about Sonic on our own time. I think I'm going to end this podcast. Gentlemen, to end this, I'd like to raise a toast. Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.